Cassidy Tryon. I'm 13 years old, and this year I won the Food Network show Chop Junior. And so today I'm going to make you one of the dishes that I was inspired by my entree round. My entree round basket was fish and chips snack mix, which was goldfish and chips, and pork cutlets, a mango, and a cornucopia of baby vegetables. So they're just baby vegetables. So today I'm going to make pork chops with a mango salsa, which was inspired by my entree dish. So to start, I have thin pork chops, and I'm going to put a rub on them. So I'm going to do 2, and I'm going to put chili powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, and garlic on it. So I'm going to put a little of all the spices on both sides, and I'm going to equally spread it around so you get the flavor evenly, and it's not one bite is terribly different than the other one. And I'm just estimating this here. My recipe has the exact stuff on it if you wanted to go by that. So I'm just going to eyeball this. So that basket was kind of a cool basket because I remember my mom at home was just giving me practice baskets, and it was funny because this basket was pretty much the practice one she gave me. So I knew exactly what I was going to do from the moment I opened that basket up. And so I just thought that was great. And I actually made the salsa without mango for her probably a few weeks before the filming of the show. So that was really cool and fun. So, okay, so I have had a pan heating up over here with some butter in it. I just had it starting to go. I'm going to lay the pork in, and I'm going to lay it away from me. So if it splatters, it won't splatter on you. Like that. Okay. So now I'm going to start on my salsa. So I have prepped a few tomatoes and a mango in this bowl, and I'm just going to finish it off. So I'm going to show you how to actually slice a mango, which I actually learned while I was at Chopped. So what you do is I cut along, because there's a big pit in the middle, so I cut along the pit, and I got a slice like this. I'm going to take a spoon and just kind of carve it out to get it away from the skin. I'm going to just chop it into similar sizes than my tomatoes. So again, similar to the pork, so everything tastes even and you get similar bites in every bite. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I have my onion here. And I'm not doing as much onion as the recipe says because I know some people have different tastes. And so I just want to be considerate of that. So this is red onion. I'm going to dice that up. And I have a trick that actually will take some of the bite out of the onion so it's not as sharp when you eat it. Because since it's raw, some onions are sharper than others. So since you want it to come out pretty much the same every time, my trick is I have some ice water here. I'm going to dump it in the bowl. And I'm going to actually put the onion slices in the ice water, and that will take away some of the sharpness of the onion, and it will leave you with the flavor that you like about the onion. And I'm dicing this actually smaller than the other stuff that I have because, as I said, onions can be sharp and you don't want it to get a big chunk of onion. And that was actually one of my critiques when I was on the show, is I had everything too big and they didn't like exactly how big it was. So I'm going to take the critique. And my pork, as you can see, is browning pretty good. And you'll know if you're using a larger slice, a larger slice of pork, that it will be done when it's at 165 degrees, so you can always take the temperature. This is pretty thin, so I'm not going to take the temperature of it, but you could tell if it was a thin piece that you can't really take the temperature of. If it was not pink anymore and it was pretty brown, and if it's not like leaking red, you know it's done. So that's a good way to tell it. And I'm going to cut up some cilantro. That adds a good herbiness to it and earthy flair. And I'm just going to chop this pretty fine as well. And another good tip while you're chopping things is you want to keep your knife sharp, because a sharper knife is actually safer than a dull knife. And a way to keep your knife sharp is you don't want to scrape it with the sharp side. You want to use the back of it, because it will dull it if you keep on scraping it like that. So I'm going to check my pork again. I'm going to flip it back over. And you can hear probably that it's sizzling pretty good in there. So I have a pretty good chopping on the cilantro. Add that in. And I'm going to add a little more tomato. So I like to turn it that it's flat, slice it in half and keep it flat, and then slice it in half again. And then it's good to have either like a serrated knife or a pretty sharp knife to get through the skin. Check my pork. And I think that looks pretty good. It looks pretty brown. It looks well. So I'm just going to set this aside and let it rest for a little to keep the juices in. And so when you do meats, you want to rest them before you slice into them to keep the juices in, so it will be not as dry, it will be more tender, because it will begin to cool and like go around and it'll keep the juices in. So I'm going to finish my tomato. I'm going to stir it around a little to see if everything looks pretty even or the way I want it. So I like the balance of mango to tomato to cilantro in this. So I have a lime. I'm going to zest and juice it to bring in some acidity and balance things out. Watch your fingers while you do this, because you don't want to get your finger in there. You need your fingers. juice this. I'm gonna roll it first because that brings the juices and it gets them like woken up in a way, and that makes it juicier. And so sometimes limes aren't as juicy, so that's a good way to get it going. And you want to watch the seeds, so you squeeze it with your hand under. You want to get as much out as you can. And my recipe calls for a half of a jalapeno. Depending on how you like your salsa, spicy or not, you can add it if you want. But for the sake of this, I'm not going to add it. Again, to be considerate of the people who aren't a big fan of spicy things. So I just took my onions out of the ice water. I'm going to take some of the ice out. And I'm going to add that in. And it's okay if not all of it gets in, because I have some small pieces. And I'm just going to mix that together. And you can see how colorful this salsa is. And it's just very bright and colorful, and I really like it for that reason, because that really adds a pop of color to your plates. And it has good flavor and everything. It's very simple, and I like to think that simple is better when you cook, because if you get sometimes complicated is good, but other times you can really mess something up and make it too complicated. So I like to stick with simple stuff and let the ingredients that are in it shine. So I'm just going to plate this. Oh, it's here. Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to plate this. So I have my 2 pork chops here. I'm going to kind of stick them like that so it looks, adds some dimension to it. And I'm going to lay the salsa right over, like that. And voila, you have pork chops and mango salsa. Do you guys have questions or anything that you would like to know?
Where are you going from here now? Your next step?
Well, I would like to get on to another Food Network show, another show or something that's a little more difficult, and so I can compete again. I would like to keep doing things like this for the community and stuff. And I haven't really, when I'm older, I think I would like to go to Cornell to be an equine physical therapist and to have a bed and breakfast when I grow up, so I can do like therapy on your horse and make you practice.
What else do you like to cook?
I'm a really big fan of pasta. I eat it anyway, and I make homemade pasta. And I actually did a river walk last week, 2 weeks ago, and I made veggie noodles with zucchini and summer squash with a tomato basil pesto. So I just like pasta in any way, shape, or form. I actually had pasta for lunch today. That's the Sunday thing at my grandma's house. Yes.
Where did your love of cooking come from at such a young age?
Well, I started like cooking when I was about 8. But when I was really little, I used to make cookies with my grandma. And my mom always tells people that I would stand on stools and she'd give me flour and I'd just play in the flour. So I think that's kind of where it came from. I just have a love for food. And I think everyone deserves food. And I actually gave a donation to the North Presbyterian Food Pantry from my winnings. And I know that some of the money today is going to go there. And I really just, it's a nice place to be. I like being there. So. I have not made a cookbook yet, but I think that would be a good idea. And I should work at it.
Recipes, and it would be good for other kids your age to read how you make something. That would be
Yeah.
very good.
The only problem with that is most of the stuff is like in my head, and it's kind of just like a little of this, a little of that. I mean, I thought I could develop recipes out of my brain, but that's harder.
A lot of cooking for your family.
Yeah, I actually do a lot of cooking for my family. I try to cook dinner whenever I can. I like to cook for the kids at school. I like to make birthday treats and stuff for the kids who actually can't, their parents can't make them something or they can't get something because they're either too busy or anything like that. And the other day I made cannoli cupcakes for my class because we were watching Snoopy. And I brought them in, I accidentally ran into a desk and half of them fell on the floor. So, but I still had enough, so it was okay.
Is there anything that you don't like? Is there any vegetable or meat or menu that you don't like?
Well, that brings me back to my chopped days. I ate some stuff that I've never seen before, and I don't really want to ever see again. Like, my appetizer round was crazy, a crazy basket. It was alligator, century egg, which is an egg fermented in ash for like weeks, and a pickled daikon radish, and there's something else. But those, oh yeah, and hand-pulled noodles. So I don't really know if I want to see pickled daikon radish or century egg ever again because it's not pleasant. And yeah, and cashew cheese was part of my dessert round, which is a vegan cheese made out of cashews and zucchini, and that is not good either. It's very bitter, and yeah, I wouldn't recommend eating